Grades don't fall because ADHD kids don't care. They fall because school quietly rewards two thinking skills your child was never taught, and often gets punished for not having. A major 2025 study from Belgium and Japan just pinpointed exactly what those two skills are. And in this video, I'll show you both skills and the 7 research-backed fixes that help ADHD kids finally show what they know. School usually treats ADHD struggles like a behavior problem. Sit still, try harder, work faster. But grades don't follow effort alone. They follow how quickly a child can process information and how much they can hold in mind at once. That mismatch is where most ADHD kids get stuck. This comes from a 2025 study published in the Journal of Abnormal Child Psychology by research teams based in Belgium and Japan, who study how ADHD affects learning inside real classrooms. Their focus was very specific. They wanted to know which underlying thinking skills actually explain grades for children with ADHD. Not what teachers assume matters, but what truly predicts academic performance. So they worked with hundreds of elementary-age children diagnosed with ADHD and assessed them using standardized cognitive tasks that are widely used in educational and clinical psychology. These tasks measured how children manage thinking in real time, holding instructions in mind, processing information quickly, and responding before the classroom moves on. The researchers then linked those task results to actual report card grades collected across the school year. And the result was striking. Out of everything they measured, 2 skills explained far more of the grade differences than intelligence, motivation, or effort. Once you see those 2 skills, the fixes stop feeling random and start feeling targeted. The first skill is working memory. This is the ability to hold information in mind while doing something with it. Think about a normal school moment. The teacher gives instructions. 3 steps. 1 sentence. Most kids can keep those steps active long enough to get started. For many ADHD kids, that information fades quickly. Not because they weren't listening, but because their brain struggles to hold it while beginning the task. In the study, children with weaker working memory were much more likely to earn lower grades, even when they understood the material. That's why ADHD kids often ask, "What are we supposed to do again?" Or start the wrong part of an assignment. It looks like inattention. It gets labeled as carelessness, but it's actually a memory bottleneck. And school relies on this skill all day, in every subject. Once you name working memory, the problem stops looking like behavior and starts looking solvable. The second skill is processing speed. This isn't about intelligence. It's about how quickly a child can take in information, decide what to do, and get started before the class moves on. School runs fast. Questions come quickly. Instructions stack up. Time limits are everywhere. For many ADHD kids, the thinking is there. It just takes longer to come online. In the study, children with slower processing speed were far more likely to struggle with grades, even when they answered correctly once they had enough time. This is why ADHD kids are often the last to start, the last to finish, or lose marks for incomplete work instead of wrong answers. It gets mistaken for procrastination or a lack of effort. But it's really a timing mismatch between how fast school expects output and how fast the ADHD brain processes information. When you rush this skill, performance drops. When you support it, kids finally get to show what they know. Before we get into the fixes, there's one important shift to make. Most school support focuses on behavior. Stay on task, work harder, try again. But this research shows something different. Grades don't collapse because ADHD kids aren't motivated. They collapse when working memory gets overloaded and processing speed gets pressured at the same time. So the goal isn't to push focus. It's to change how tasks are experienced so those two skills can actually function. That's exactly what the next 7 fixes do. Each one reduces load, eases timing, or protects your child from being graded on speed instead of understanding. Let's start with the first. Fix 1, reduce cognitive load. If an ADHD child struggles with grades, the problem often isn't effort, it's overload. Most school tasks quietly stack too many demands at once. Listen, remember, organize, write, stay seated, do it fast. That's not 1 skill, that's 5. The research behind this video shows that working memory limits are a major bottleneck for ADHD learners. When too much information hits at once, performance drops, even when the child understands the material. So the fix isn't more reminders. It's lowering the load before adding support. That means shrinking tasks without lowering expectations. Instead of finish these 10 math problems, start with solve the first 2. Instead of write a paragraph, start with say your idea out loud. You're not making it easier. You're making it possible. Once the brain isn't overwhelmed, skills finally show up. Accuracy improves. Follow-through improves. Confidence follows. Reduce the load first. Then build from there. Fix 2. 1 instruction at a time. ADHD kids don't usually ignore instructions. They lose them. The research shows that limited working memory makes it hard to hold multiple steps in mind at once. When directions are stacked, follow-through drops, not because of defiance, but because the steps literally fall out of reach. Think about what school often sounds like. Get your notebook, write your name, answer questions 1 to 5, skip number 3, and turn it in. That's already too much. So the fix is simple, but powerful. Deliver instructions 1 step at a time. Not slower, not softer, clearer. Give the first step. Wait for it to be completed. Then give the next. This reduces mental juggling and frees up attention for the actual skill being tested. Teachers who do this see fewer reminders, fewer power struggles, and more independent work. Parents notice the same thing at home, especially with homework and routines. 1 instruction doesn't lower expectations. It protects execution. When the brain can focus on a single step, success becomes repeatable. Fix 3. Externalize memory. ADHD kids are often expected to remember things their brains aren't built to hold reliably. Deadlines, steps, rules. What comes next? The research shows that when working memory is under strain, performance drops. Not because the child forgot how to do the work, but because they forgot what to do. So the fix is to move memory out of the head and into the environment. Write the steps down. Use visual checklists. Post routines where your child can see them. Instead of asking, "Do you remember what to do?" the environment does the remembering for them. This doesn't create dependence. It creates access. When information is visible, working memory is freed to actually solve the problem. That's when kids stop asking repeated questions, stop restarting tasks, and start finishing work with less stress. Externalize memory. Let the brain do the thinking, not the storing. Fix 4. Slow the task, not the child. ADHD kids are often told to hurry up, work faster, keep pace, don't fall behind. But the research shows something important. Processing speed, not understanding, is often the real bottleneck. When tasks are rushed, accuracy drops. Not because the child doesn't know the answer, but because their brain needs a little more time to get there. So the fix isn't pushing the child to speed up. It's slowing the task itself. That can mean fewer questions with the same learning goal. More time to respond before moving on. Or removing unnecessary time pressure that doesn't measure learning anyway. When speed demands ease, performance improves. Answers get more accurate. Frustration goes down. Shutdowns happen less often. This works because processing speed improves with support, not with pressure. Slow the task. Protect the thinking. Let the skill show up. Fix 5. Practice retrieval, not repetition. ADHD kids are often told to practice more. But repeating the same work over and over doesn't always build the skill school actually tests. The research shows that performance improves when children practice pulling information out, not just seeing it again. That's retrieval. Instead of rereading notes, ask your child to explain the idea out loud. Instead of copying answers, pause and ask, "What do you remember so far?" This matters for ADHD because retrieval strengthens working memory and makes information easier to access under pressure. Repetition feels productive. Retrieval builds access. When kids practice recalling, they get faster at finding the information they already know, which directly supports both working memory and processing speed. Less busy work, more recall. That's how learning sticks without overwhelming the brain. Fix 6. Build speed. Safely processing speed doesn't improve by rushing. It improves with structured, low-pressure practice. ADHD kids often get pushed to work faster before their brain is ready. And that creates anxiety, mistakes, and shutdowns. The research shows that speed grows when kids practice accuracy first, then gradually increase pace once the process is solid. That means starting without timers, letting your child finish correctly, then slowly shortening the time after success is consistent. Think fluency, not force. When speed is built safely, kids gain confidence instead of panic. Accuracy stays intact, and processing speed improves naturally. Pressure makes ADHD brains freeze. Progress makes them faster. Build speed the way brains learn, step by step. Fix 7, grade the skill, not the behavior. This is where everything clicks. ADHD kids are often graded on things that look like learning, but actually aren't. Finishing fast, staying seated, following every direction without help. But the research behind this video makes something clear. Grades are supposed to reflect knowledge and skill, not speed, compliance, or stamina. When working memory and processing speed are under pressure, behavior starts to mask understanding. A child knows the answer but runs out of time, misses steps, or shuts down. And what gets graded is the behavior, not the learning. The fix is separating what your child knows from how easily they can show it. That can mean oral responses instead of written ones. Extra time without penalty. Fewer questions that test the same concept. When grading targets the skill itself, ADHD kids finally get credit for what they know, not punished for how their brain works. This isn't lowering standards. It's measuring the right thing. And once that shift happens, grades start to reflect ability, not struggle. Grades don't improve when ADHD kids are pushed harder. They improve when the right skills are supported. Working memory, processing speed. When you protect those two, everything else starts to move. If this helped, like the video, subscribe, and comment with the fix that made the biggest difference for your child.